Today I have 5 vintage electronics that I'm going to try to fix and sell for a profit on eBay. We have 2 CD changers, we have 2 VCRs, and a combo DVD VHS player. Now I usually like to fix all the same thing at the same time, so either like CD changers or tape decks, but this is just kind of the way it came out of the pile. This is kind of leftover stuff, and we'll see what we can do. Starting off with this old RCA VCR, it would play for a second, but the tape wouldn't reel back in. So that's easy. It's a belt. But locating which one of the 15 or so belts is the hard part. But then sometimes it's the plastic gears and reels that failed over time, and you really can't replace them. And disassembling this thing would be a big job, so I just decided to skip it and move on. Well, we're not off to a great start. Hopefully it gets better. Over onto this gold Star VCR. Now this one didn't do anything at all. It didn't even really show up. So I popped the lid off of it, and of course there was something rattling around. Didn't know what it was. There was a broken part of the mechanism inside. So once again, I'm skipping it. Now we're 0 for 2. Those are kind of junkier units, so I didn't really care. Moving on to the combo VHS DVD player. Did like partially work, but it wasn't reading DVDs, and that problem can be like super hit or miss. Either it's just a dirty lens, or the whole optical laser is bad and just not worth dealing with. I decided to give it a shot. I mean, we're already over 2. What do we have to lose? I opened up the disc mechanism and took a look at the optical laser, and that wasn't actually dirty at all. But what I did notice is that the rails that it slides on, the grease had dried up, and then also the laser itself was stuck in the middle of the rails. So that means that it wasn't going all the way to the bottom where it needs to start off from. So I decided just to clean up the rails. And then lastly, I also cleaned up the track 1 switch. I don't know what you call it on a DVD player. On a CD player, it's a track 1 switch. Now that's the switch that lets the optical laser know it's at the start of the disc. Put it all back together, and it was actually worse than before. So now we're 0 for 3. The older style VCRs and DVD players are something that I usually have very little success with, so I wasn't super concerned. CD changers, on the other hand, I'm usually very good with. So I moved on to that, starting off with this Kenwood cartridge CD changer. So I gave it a try, and it didn't really seem like the mechanism was moving to grab the disc. Now I never worked on this model, but I decided to take out the mechanism and see if it was jammed in some sort of way or if there was a mechanical error. Popped it out, only to find that there was a broken piece inside. So at this point, I went online looking for a service manual, which I couldn't find at all. So once again, we had to give up. That's 0 for 4. Luckily, it was time to move on to the Onkyo CD changer, which I actually had the highest hopes for. I've done a ton of these with a very high success rate. So I tried it out. The drawer wouldn't open on its own, which is no big deal, but that meant taking the lid off. Now, right off the bat, I noticed that the carousel was actually cracked. That's not really a big deal. I could fix that no problem. So I popped the disc in, and it didn't read. So I cleaned the optical laser, put it back together, and tried it again. No luck. Now there are some adjustment pots that you can use to dial it in a little bit better. At that point, it's really hit and miss for me, so it's not worth the time investment, especially without a service manual. So now it's just time to clean everything up and list them. That means we're 0 for 5 on the day. What a disappointment, to say the least. Now the funniest part of it to me is this is like the first time I've tried to record myself repairing stuff, and this is what I do actually 7 days a week, but I usually have at least like a 50 to 60% success rate, sometimes higher. So I guess days like this just balance it out. But the biggest thing I've come to realize is to pick and choose your battles when it comes to repair. There's a lot of people out there that will still buy this stuff for parts that are hobbyists that want to repair it, or they need the parts out of it. And then if that doesn't work, you can always scrap it. You can always part out certain things out of it. As fun as repairs are, I have to remind myself I'm here to make money, and if I can't do it efficiently and profitably, then it's just not worth doing. So this process took me an hour and a half, and that's actually a much better outcome than if I would have spent all day trying to work on this stuff and maybe got one thing fixed. But why even waste your time trying to repair it in the first place? So if I was able to get everything working, I would have been able to list probably the 2 VCRs for about 40 bucks each, the combo unit for about 80, the Onkyo CD changer for 115, and the Kenwood CD changer for 120. So that would have been about $395. However, I listed these all for parts for about 130. So it's actually the next day, but I wound up finding this Sony Walkman that's been sitting on my shelf forever. I was originally just going to sell it for parts. However, I decided to give it another try and see if I could get it working. I put a half an hour into it and got it all up and working. I listed it for 200 bucks and it sold in 2 days. Now for parts, I probably would have sold it for about 30 bucks, but because I reconditioned it, I sold it for 200. So that's about $170 in increased value. It took me a half an hour. So if you multiply that by 2, it's $340 an hour. So I wanted to at least include one really good win to balance out the other 5 epic fails I had earlier. And then once everything's all listed, it's time to bring it over to the storage unit. This thing is jam-packed. I have no more room. I've been putting up stuff so quick this summer, just rushing through it. And on top of that, the sales in the summer are a lot slower, so I'm just trying to get prepared for Christmas season. But I am able to fix most things. I probably have like a 60% overall success rate. So majority of what you see here is working. But this is just an example of a day. It happens. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes it eats you. This is my first time trying a repair video, and if you like it, please let me know, and I'll make more of them, and if not, it's cool too. Because as you can see, I have a whole bunch of stuff to repair regardless.